What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody is doing well today. Today, I will be reacting to a highly recommended video. I mean, the way you guys was blowing up my phone, I thought something was wrong. I thought it was like a state of emergency or something. I'm like, what is going on? Today, I'll be reacting to 7 nations ditch US for Canada after Trump tariffs. Now, this is some devastating news for us Americans to hear because this is going to take a toll on us. But this is some good news for Canada, man. Look, this is a win-win for Canada. Let's go ahead and read this description real quick before we actually jump into this video. It caught my eye, so I just wanted to go ahead and read this real quick. So we got 7 nations ditch US for Canada after Trump tariffs. US jobs and manufacturing collapse, which they have been tremendously over the time. I'm like, wow. You guys should look at our stocks over here in the US, man. They have been plummeting. When I say plummeting, I mean it's going downhill. Do not invest in those stocks over here in the US, man. 7 countries are ditching the United States and turning to Canada for trade. What countries? And it all started with Trump's tariffs. This video exposes how the America First policy triggered a massive global trade shift with foreign investment fleeing the US, new export deals forming with Canada, and the resulting US manufacturing collapse spreading coast to coast. We have people losing jobs, manufacturers are going out of business, man, which, you know, results in those people working within the manufacturer or losing their jobs as well. It's all going downhill, man. And yeah, I want to see where this goes towards the future. Like, will we be back to normal soon? Because this is taking a toll on our country now. So it's kind of like we're doing it to ourselves at this point. Like, it's not making much sense anymore, you know? Before, Trump was targeting, you know, countries within Europe, China, Canada. But now it feels like we're getting targeted, you know, ourselves. It's like we are targeting ourselves. It doesn't make any sense because the damage is getting done to us as well. You know, Canada already put tariffs on us right after we put them on them. But it seems that we're doing more to harm ourselves rather than help. Oh, man, let's get into the video.
What if, in a single morning, your entire livelihood vanished? Not from a flood or fire, not from war or a viral collapse, but from a single policy announcement, a new tariff, a number, a law, no sirens, no advance notice, just silence. Orders dry up, warehouses go dark, machines idle mid-assembly. Your factory floor suddenly feels like a graveyard. This was the shock that rippled across the globe in early 2025, when the United States slammed its trading partners with a sweeping series of tariffs, some as high as 35%. Whole supply chains froze. Industries held their breath. And while Washington was building walls, Ottawa opened its doors. In the chaos, something unexpected happened. 7 nations, economic powerhouses, resource giants, clean tech innovators, did not wait. They turned. And they found Canada. It began in Germany. In the vast automotive hubs of Munich and Wolfsburg, engineers and managers woke up to a 25% tariff slapped on all vehicles and auto parts entering the United States.
And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We started off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at.
Years of carefully tuned transatlantic logistics unraveled in a matter of hours. At Summerch GmbH, 2,500 jobs hung in the balance. Orders from Detroit vanished. Forklifts stopped moving. But Berlin wasn't about to let its manufacturing backbone collapse. On February 14th, Germany signed a supplemental trade protocol with Canada.
Canada and Germany have officially signed a hydrogen deal. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Chancellor Olaf Scholz oversaw the signing in Newfoundland. Now, this agreement will kickstart a transatlantic supply chain for the green energy,
securing $10 billion in duty-free auto part quotas annually. And just like that, the flow reversed. Transmission casings once bound for Michigan were rerouted to Ontario. 70% of January's inventory was redirected in less than 3 weeks. GM Canada's Oshawa plant fired up additional lines. 350 workers were rehired.
Tonight, General Motors has announced it will lay off more than 1,300 employees in Michigan. Good evening, I'm Ann Emmerich.
And I'm David Andrews. The layoffs are coming to GM's Orion Assembly Plant and the Lansing Grand River Assembly Plant.
Imagine you sitting here sipping your coffee, watching this on your television before heading off to work, and you happen to see your job on the screen, and you what am I supposed to do about that, man? How is that fair? You know, are these people getting accommodated in some type of way? Unemployment checks? I mean, something, no? Something, some type of money.
To GM's Orion Assembly Plant and the Lansing Grand River Assembly Plant. That's where we find News 10's Jordan Burrell tonight. And Jordan, explain why these local workers will start the new year out of a job.
Hamilton's logistics
man.
sector added 200 warehouse jobs to manage the flood of redirected parts. German engineers recoded their ERP systems, relabeling shipments from Detroit to Toronto, Flint to London. But it wasn't just about survival, it was reinvention. In March, Intercon, a Franco-German wind turbine giant, signed a $1.1 billion deal to ship turbine components directly to Canada's hydroelectric sector. Quebec's assembly yards began filling with nacelles stamped "Made in Germany." Workers in Ontario loaded trucks to Windsor as German wind modules arrived by the ton. Bavarian technicians ran new simulations, new logistics chains, new contracts. By April, what began as a disaster had become a strategy, reshaping the very definition of trade routes between Europe and North America. Further north, Denmark faced its own reckoning. In Esbjerg, the coastal wind capital of Scandinavia, turbine blades sat idle, some as long as jetliners. A brutal 30% tariff from the US had cancelled orders in a flash. Managers scrambled, projects were frozen, crews prepared for furloughs. But then came Canada. By April 1st, a green technology pact worth $1.5 billion was finalized. Denmark rerouted its entire renewable energy export network to Canada. Turbine blades bound for Arizona were redirected to Nova Scotia. Solar modules meant for Florida went instead to Saskatchewan. That same week, 150 Danish engineers boarded flights to Halifax and Regina. In industrial parks across Nova Scotia, 200 local workers were trained to install and maintain imported turbine equipment. In Saskatchewan, logistics centers doubled shifts to keep up. Back in Aalborg, CNC machines were reprogrammed. Quality checks were adjusted for Canadian grid specs. Solar PV panels began shipping directly into Toronto. In a single month, wind turbine exports to Canada jumped 65%.
Nice.
For Denmark, it meant 900 jobs retained. For Canada, it meant 1,100 brand new ones. The pivot wasn't just economic, it was electric. Thousands of miles away in South Korea, the silence inside Ulsan's battery gigafactories was deafening. A 20% US tariff had severed their ties to California. Pallets of lithium-ion modules stood still. Managers stared at spreadsheets packed with red ink. But Seoul didn't pause. It redirected. On March 20th, LG Chem and Samsung SDI inked a $1.7 billion deal with Northvolt Canada. 500,000 battery modules were assigned new destinations: Windsor, London, Hamilton. Packing crews worked double shifts. Labels that once read Los Angeles now read Ontario. By mid-May, 2 Canadian facilities each added 350 technicians trained in the precision assembly of Korean battery packs. In South Korea, 3,000 jobs were protected. Ulsan kept its lights on, and the global electric vehicle race, once reliant on US integration, was now plugging directly into Canada's growing EV supply chain. In Lyon, France, the mood was tense. At a facility producing hydrogen electrolyzers, machines capable of converting water into clean energy, orders had dried up. A 30% US tariff had brought production to a halt. Hundreds of millions in deals were gone overnight. But France moved quickly. By April 3rd, it had signed a $1.2 billion hydrogen infrastructure pact with Canada. $800 million in electrolyzers were set to flow into Quebec and Ontario. At the same time, a turbine manufacturer in the Paris region committed $400 million worth of wind systems to a Nova Scotia coastal project. In the weeks that followed, 250 French engineers flew to Montreal and Toronto. Factory acceptance tests were held in collaboration with Canadian energy firms. Meanwhile, 180 Canadian workers enrolled in fast-track training at the Université de Montréal, mastering French energy assembly protocols.
Oh man, and I can't say that, these countries would have ever thought of these plans, before like previously because we weren't going through these issues. So they weren't thinking of leaving the US. Now they're kind of, like, all right, we got to work with what we got. But it's kind of a better option instead of, okay, let's just work with what we got. We got to just work with these people now. No, it's not even like that. It's just this is opening up a whole new amazing opportunity for these countries to work with Canada. Stuff is getting done. They don't have to worry about, people stabbing them in the backs, man. Like, oh, man, we're doomed. We're doomed.
At the Université de Montréal, mastering French energy assembly protocols. The partnership preserved 1,000 French jobs. It created 850 in Canada. But in Lyon, some welding stations did go dark. One supplier laid off 150 staff after shifting contracts to Canada. A new order had emerged, rewarding agility, punishing inflexibility. Half a world away in Australia's Pilbara, iron ore trains screamed through red deserts toward the coast, only to hit a wall. A sudden 30% US tariff on raw minerals stunned the export sector. Shipments stalled. Mines went quiet. But Australia was already drafting its exit plan.
Yes,
By
they were.
April 20th, the Northern Stars Initiative was signed, a $3.5 billion minerals pact with Canada. Trains that once dumped ore into ships bound for California now pointed toward Vancouver and Thunder Bay.
And I actually read up on this a few weeks ago, man. It was really shocking. Oh, man. It's a lot going on right now in this world. It's a lot going on right now, but we got to keep up with it all. This is having an impact on everybody now. On everybody now, man. Even the ones who started it. This country.
Ore into ships bound for California now pointed toward Vancouver and Thunder Bay. Canadian ports added 400 workers. Ontario steel mills upgraded blast furnaces to process higher-grade Australian ore, boosting output by 18% by mid-May. A joint venture with a Canadian electric bus maker rerouted battery-grade lithium carbonate to Welland, Ontario. 2,100 Australian mining jobs were saved. Smaller contractors took hits, but the core survived. What mattered most was the signal. Even base commodities could be rerouted, repackaged, and reforged in new partnerships. In Mexico, the tariff came like an earthquake. A crushing 35% hike on auto components severed access to American assembly lines. Plants in Ciudad Juarez, Baja, Monterrey braced for collapse. But within weeks, Mexico and Canada announced the Triple North Corridor Alliance, $8.2 billion in parts. Suspension systems, ECUs, wiring harnesses were rerouted. Ontario's auto centers exploded with activity. Brampton's logistics hubs expanded. Windsor's factories ran night shifts. Mexican suppliers avoided collapse by pivoting north. Packing centers in Baja California kept workers on payroll by rerouting volume to Canada.
Hey, does it put a lot of stress on Canada and your economy and the government when having to work, do business, trading deals and everything with all these countries? Is it pretty challenging having to hold that down? Knowing that you are the number one country everybody is coming to? Like, I feel like this is the moment Canada lives for, All the countries are turning around and they are coming to Canada for saving. Yeah. And it's like Canada is finally, although, everybody honors Canada and the amazing things they have done, or at least the non-ignorant ones, they still seem to get downplayed a little bit, as a lot of people tend to forget the amazing things Canada has done for us, our country, America. Hello? And a lot of Canada's amazing achievements throughout history and amazing inventions. Come on now. It's like you guys are underrated. You're like the underdogs for some reason. And I don't know why. Like, a lot of people still think, oh, Canada's probably one of our states. Like, it's like you guys are the underdogs. And, you guys are finally getting that recognition. All these other countries are trusting in you now for business. And they want to just, do business directly with Canada. And that's good. Is it good for us? No. Oh, no. Our economy is going downhill. Our stocks are going downhill. Our franchises, big and small businesses, everything is plummeting. Numbers are going down. People are getting fired. It's getting so bad to the point where I know some people that got laid off and were collecting unemployment and then got completely denied, like cut off, like you're not getting your money. What? They start coming up with a whole bunch of reasons as to why they don't qualify for their money now after qualifying every week for their money. But what they have been doing now is they're not giving you the money weekly. They've been holding it off, telling people, yeah, keep qualifying. You'll get it all in one big lump sum. No. And then when it comes to the time for them to get their money, they're screwed. They don't get no money, or they get like half of it if you're lucky. A lot of stuff has been going on, guys. A lot of stuff has been going on, man. I've even noticed some places have less workers, but the prices are skyrocketing. Why? Why? It's like, well, what's going on with the budget? So now we can't afford to have employees in these stores, these supermarkets, but you gonna raise the prices on us? As if it's our fault? You gonna raise the prices on us because you can't afford employees and you want to try to make some money now and you know, keep your budget good? But no, this is crazy. What do you guys think about this, man? This is great news for Canada. How do you guys feel about this whole situation pertaining to this video, man?
Mexican suppliers avoided collapse by pivoting north. Packing centers in Baja California kept workers on payroll by rerouting volume to Canada. By May, bilateral investment between Mexico and Canada exceeded $20 billion. The attempt to isolate Mexico had, in practice, deepened its trade ties with Canada, and it proved a powerful lesson. Weaponized tariffs do not break partnerships. They redirect them. Then, finally, came Brazil. On March 1st, ranchers in Mato Grosso received the news. A 25% tariff had killed access to the US market. Beef, soy, ethanol, worth billions, had nowhere to go. The fear was immediate. Some projected a 30% revenue collapse. Others feared a mass wave of layoffs. But on March 28th, Brazil struck back. A $2 billion trade deal with Canada rerouted beef to Alberta and Manitoba, soy to Winnipeg and Saskatoon, and ethanol to Quebec. Agricultural leaders in São Paulo and Brasilia reorganized routes. 150 ranches began exporting cattle to Toronto area slaughterhouses. 5,000 ranch jobs were saved. Soy producers outside Londrina secured credit lines from BNDES to expand output, adding hundreds of thousands in revenue per farm. Canadian meat processing facilities added 400 workers. Grain cooperatives hired 250. On May 10th, trade ministers from both nations stood shoulder to shoulder. Brazil had not just salvaged its economy, it had redrawn its map, from German crankshafts bound for Ontario to Brazilian cattle trucked to the prairies, from wind turbines arriving in Halifax to lithium modules powering Toronto. This was not a trade shuffle. This was a global migration. The US believed tariffs would bring manufacturing back. Instead, they exported trust, and Canada was ready. While Washington drew lines, Ottawa offered lifelines. While American plants went quiet, Canadian ports lit up. While US suppliers scrambled, Canadian companies expanded shifts, hired fast, and built new alliances.
We the ones that started the issue, and we scrambling right now. Everybody else done redirected. They have figured it out. They have figured it out. It's not like it's giving us a bad look. You know, we don't look so smart at all. It's like, man, we're just hurting ourselves now. Everybody else done found new plans, redirected, working with Canada. And what we do, trying to ruin the relationship with Canada.
Canadian companies expanded shifts, hired fast, and built new alliances. This isn't just about economics, it's about identity, about who shows up when the rules change, and about what happens when the world's most trusted trading partners decide to find new ground.
This was an amazing video. The video we checked out today was brought to us by Auto Edge. Original video link will be in the description down below. Everybody, please feel free to let me know how you felt about this video. How you feel about the 7 nations ditching the US for Canada. I mean, this is good news for you guys. And like I said, this is devastating news for America. And all we can do is just ride it out, man, and see where it takes us throughout the time, man. See what happens further down, man. There's not much we could do. We don't have no control, no power, man. This is the one right here who has all of that. So all I can say is we are making ourselves look like a fool. The damage is ongoing, and it's ongoing with us. You know, we think that we are really hurting these other countries with tariffs, but they're turning around working with Canada. So that defeats the whole problem. That defeats the whole purpose of putting those tariffs on those countries. That literally defeats the whole purpose of America putting the tariffs on these other countries, because they are working with Canada now. Canada is their number one, not the US anymore. Canada is their trusted partner. So there's literally no point behind them tariffs. Like it's not doing anything but hurting us now, because we still have ongoing relations with Canada. Because Canada, unlike the other countries, they could just turn around and go to Canada. Canada can't really do that with the US because Carney still wants to work with us in the automobile sector, which I understand. It's been around since he was a kid, like I mentioned, and he mentioned in his interview. So I don't think, the US and Canada will stop trading business and, partnership altogether. Nah, never. But Canada definitely is standing ground. They are 10 toes. They're not letting nobody boss them around or take charge of their country or make any, ridiculous threats towards their country. So the relationship is ruined. The relationship is ruined with all these 7 nations. I think we all can agree with that. This is horrible. If you guys enjoyed this video, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and turn all post notifications on. Feel free to share this video and channel to your friends and family members, and please continue to flood my comment section and suggestion link in the description down below if you would like to recommend some more of these fabulous videos for us to check out, just like how we did today. Everybody stay safe, enjoy the weather, and I hope to catch you all in the next reaction video.